All right, I'm live. Hey, hello YouTube. How we doing out there, guys? Looks like I even got a couple viewers in the room. You guys, let me know if this microphone's working. I hope it is. It says it was. Hey, Eric, how you doing, Eric? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, guys. So, welcome to another, Prison Talk Live. Hopefully, we got some questions and comments and stuff we can talk about tonight. I'll do some check-ins. Got some comments to read. Got a call today from a guy. Guys, he got sentenced yesterday in Texas, and he was looking at 36 months. That was his guidelines. They gave him 24 months. So they gave him a year less than he thought. He said his co-defendant was looking at 47 months, give or take, and they gave his co-defendant 30 months. So all you guys are getting ready to get set. I keep hearing they're dropping it like a year. Everybody that's, getting ready to get sentenced, I have not heard of anybody getting more time than they expected. Most people, and I say most, go with 70% of the people are getting a year less time than they thought they were going to get. I hope that's good news. Hey, we got Alan. Hey, Alan, good to see you. Richard is in the room. Great show with Matt Cox. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Matt Cox is, I didn't think he would even respond to me, guys. If you haven't seen my video with Matt Cox, check out his channel. The guy's a hell of a character. He's got a decent, good following on YouTube, and he's a character, and he guy's all over the place, man, on YouTube. Does all kinds of podcast shows and everything. He wrote a bunch of books in prison, and I guess he was the Secret Service's most wanted for a while. He was even on the FBI's most wanted list, but he corrected me that it was the Secret Service's #1 most wanted con man. And so I wrote him a little comment on one of his videos asking him to come on the show, and he came back, absolutely. Here's my info. And next thing you know, I'm calling him and he answers, and he's on the show. And kind of blew my mind. None of the other big guys will talk to me. If you guys watch all these prison shows, there's After Prison Show. I guess the guy's got a couple million viewers. There's Fresh Out. There's Larry Lawton. All these guys, 1 million viewers. 23-1. They won't even answer my. They probably got people that read their comments. They got so many. But Matt Cox came on, good guy. And I've had Harvey Talks Prison on here. If you've seen that one, Harvey's got a new channel, and he's probably got more subscribers than me now. He zoomed up to 1,000 subscribers, man, within like 2 months. But I really like Harvey. We had a great conversation. And so maybe, me and Harvey will do some things later. But he did time in Missouri prison. He did 29 years in prison, man. 29 years. There's another channel, Fed Phoenix. Audrey, she talks to me all the time. And she's getting ready to get sentenced. I think this coming up week. But she started a channel. She's got lots of good information all about preparing you for sentencing and stuff. She's really done her research. I want to thank all you guys came on last Sunday. Did this little pretrial anonymous support group for everybody going through pretrial. I don't know. We had 7 or 8, 9 people coming on there. It worked out okay. It didn't kind of start off like I thought because people wanted to talk. You know what I mean? I was going to try to run it like an AA meeting, but it worked out okay. We're going to do it again tomorrow night. Got my buddy Alex as the speaker. He's going to talk for about, 10, 15 minutes. Tell you about his pretrial, stress story, how he got through it all. I think he did, 3-4 years in prison. I did time with him at Florence Federal Prison Camp. I've done an interview with him on one of my videos almost like a year ago now. He's on my channel, but Alex is been on federal probation a couple of years now. He's probably getting close to getting off. I know that they've let him go to Tijuana. His probation officer lets him go to Tijuana on the weekends. So he's doing good. He's working. He's got a decent job and putting his life back together. But he'll tell you all about his time on pretrial. It was hell. And then we can talk about you guys. You You can ask them questions, comments, and we'll leave the meeting up for you guys, support group. We'll see how this thing works on Sundays. You know what I mean? Just all the information I just put on there. I've been posting little things about the pretrial throughout the week, but it's a Zoom meeting, and if you can't see this chat relay, it shows up like the next day. Richard's here. Any updates on the guy who killed that girl Gabby who lives in Florida? Well, now you're saying the guy. I thought it was her boyfriend or the dog. The bounty hunter's even after him now. Have been watching it? See, I'm in California, so I didn't really pick up on this story till like last week. But I guess in Florida, it's probably big news. It's local news out there. Dan Wood says, my PSR came a little bit higher than my plea deal. Does that make a difference? My plea is 48 to 57, but the PSR came back 97 to 108. So if you took a plea deal, you get that plea deal. That's why you take that plea deal. But your PSR, your PSRs can be higher. Definitely. Had you not taken the plea deal, then the judge is going to go by your PSR. So until you talk to the judge and write letters and you get your statement before the judge before you get sentenced, all he's got to go on you is your PSR. And a lot of times they've already made their mind up once they read that PSR about you. Pre-sentence report, if you guys don't know what that is. It's also called a PSI, pre-sentence investigation. The proper terminology I understand is pre-sentence investigative report. PSIR, but you never hear that. But that's what it says on the actual paper, because I've got it in my links and in my videos, but it's called PSR or PSI, but it's technically a pre-sentence investigative report. But we're just going to go with PSR because that's what everybody's been calling for this year. Terms change. Anyways, that's all the judge has to go by. That's your life history is on there, and the judge doesn't know who you are, so probation does this pre-sentence report. It's a background check on your life, where you went to school, where you lived, all your friends, relatives, every job you had, every school you went to, every city you've ever lived in. And they put it down. It's like 16, 17 pages long. And you're supposed to, I got to fill it out myself. Then I sat down with my lawyer and the probation officer, and they went over it. They made changes, asked me if I want to make changes. We did. We adjusted it. And then when everybody agreed, they turned it into the judge. I'm hearing some lawyers don't even let you get a copy of it. They don't even give you the blank. They fill it out for you. How are they going to fill out your life story for you? So if you have not had a chance to hold the blank PSR in your hand and fill it out yourself, you need to stand up to your lawyer and say, look, this is my life. You don't know my life. Let me fill out my paperwork on my life. Then if you want to sit down with me and go over things and details and all that and edit it, that's fine. But if your lawyer is not letting you fill out that PSR beforehand, before you meet the probation officer, you really need to have a talk with that lawyer, guys. Leon is in the room. Leon, how did PSR come back high, if you don't mind me asking him, Sean? No, go ahead. Yeah, how did it? So it came back high. Then they made you a deal for like halftime. So that's what a plea deal is all about. It's making a deal. So normally the judge is going to honor that plea deal unless you violate your pretrial. You go out and get high, give them a dirty drug test, or run off to Vegas without asking permission, or something stupid. They're going to honor your plea deal. Max Edge says, "What's up, Sean? What does the SCP mean in the prison name, like Atwater USP?" Satellite Camp Prison. I thought it was it's satellite. Yeah, Satellite Camp Prison. A lot of times they're called adjacent prison camps, minimum prison camps, satellite prison camps. I'm thinking that you got a SPC, Satellite Prison Camp, not Satellite Camp Prison, but that's what it should be. USP stands for United States Penitentiary. SCP is Satellite Camp Prison, so that's next to Atwater. And a satellite camp is one that it's next to a bigger prison. You know how you got the moon that rotates around the earth? So that's the satellite. The moon is the satellite. Well, in the prison system, the camp is the satellite that goes around the bigger prison. You know what I mean? It's a smaller entity. And the people at the camp are used as workers, slave workers, a lot of the time for the bigger prisons. They'll do the landscaping around the prisons. I mean, they'll have us go in. I had to go into the bigger prisons and actually clean they have us camp. We're called campers, and we go clean the offices. We clean their visiting area, their lobbies, all the places their inmates aren't allowed to go to. The campers are, and I'll have the campers clean the warden's office in that other big prison. And when those big prisons get fights and break lockdowns and shakedowns, and somebody shanks somebody and all that, they lock all those guys up in their cell. And they even lock up the kitchen crew and the laundry crews and all that. And they have the campers actually have to go inside of their prison and do their laundry, empty their trashes, cook their food, make their trays, make their bag. They're going to get bologna sandwiches for a lunch for a month. But, they'll take 20, 30 of us campers over there, and we got to slice their bologna and make their bologna sandwiches and put their little carrot sticks and celery sticks in a bag and make, thousands of these bologna sandwich lunch bags that they're going to eat for a month because somebody wanted to shank somebody because one guy reached across his tray, to grab a milk or something from the other guy. You know what? It's something stupid. These guys in the USP, I mean, they'll kill you because you looked at them wrong. What are you looking at? And if you don't answer right, you get shanked. And next thing you know, they lock down the whole prison. Usually, though, fights like that start over money. It's usually because somebody didn't pay a drug debt or a gambling debt, but they will fight over the stupidest things in there. These are in the penitentiaries, these are the angriest people in the world. They're doing life sentences. And a lot of them are very violent people, violent by nature. Wouldn't want to see them in broad daylight walking down the street, let alone in a prison, Dawood says, how many character letter, I guess, is how many character later is enough? I got 2 people willing to write for me. Think me character letter. Yeah, I get it. So you don't want to give them like 20. I'm going to say no more than 10 letters. Although I've heard of people giving 20, 30, 40 letters. Now, is the judge going to take the time to read all those letters? These sentencing judges, that's all they do is, they do preliminary hearings and they do sentencing. And by law, they're required to read every letter. By law, they're required to. Do they actually take the time to read your letter? Do they just scan it? Do they have their secretaries or their clerks read the letter for them? And then, maybe by law, they're supposed to read it. I'm not sure if they really do. Especially when these judges have been around 20, 30 years. They're getting tired of reading letters, man. They've read, thousands, hundreds of thousands of letters if the judge has been around for 20 years. So I would try to keep it less than 10 letters. That's just my opinion. And my opinion doesn't mean a whole lot because I went to prison too. So anyways, all right. So let's see here. Where was I? Okay. I was looking at some federal prison news on the Google here. Here's one about 2 former correctional officers charged with accepting bribes and smuggling contraband into federal prison as a part of the Justice Department's continuing efforts against prison corruption. A federal grand jury in the District of Kansas returned 2 indictments on September 22nd, charging 2 former correctional officers with smuggling drugs and other contraband into Leavenworth Detention Center. To the detention center, not even to the prison. According to court documents, Jacqueline Cifuentes, 25, of Laredo, Texas, previously worked as a correction officer at Leavenworth Detention Center, a privately run, maximum security federal prison in Leavenworth, Kansas. The indictment alleges that Cifuentes used her position as a public official to smuggle contraband, including methamphetamine, marijuana, and tobacco, into the prison in exchange for bribe payments from federal inmates. Cifuentes, who was arrested Tuesday, is charged with conspiring to commit bribery and provide contraband, bribery and providing contraband to an inmate. She made her initial appearance yesterday before the U.S. Magistrate Judge Diana Song Quiroga of the United States District Court for the Southern District of Texas. If convicted of all counts, she faces up to 40 years in prison, and there's more, and it goes on. But man, so she's 25 years old, and she's a prison, correctional officer at the detention center of Leavenworth. Not actually that, the detention center. These are people that haven't even been sentenced yet, or they're getting ready to move them to another prison from where they came from. And I mean, this is like the jail part of the prison system. And boy, and she's getting a meth and pot and tobacco in the detention center. So she must have known this guy or something. I mean, anyway, she's looking at 40 years. Whoo, 40 years, man. See, at a camp, we don't have fences. We don't need you don't need no guard to bring anything in. There's no fence. Just go to the store. Come back by count. Walk to the side of the road. Meet your girlfriend. Whatever you got to do. Just get back before count. You know what I mean? And do it at night when there's one or two guards on duty. And that's how it's done at a camp. The places with fences, yeah, they need guards, man. Even your low security, they got fences, man. So I tell you, a cigarette at a camp is $2, maybe $3. $40 for a pack of Marlboro. Unheard of in any other type of prison. Unheard of. The mediums, the penitentiaries, guys that have been there, worked their way down the camp, told me it's $10, $20 for a cigarette, right? If somebody will even sell you one, and it's not a real cigarette, it's a rolled up one. They take a Marlboro and they'll make 3 or 4 out of it, and roll it in zigzag paper or Bible paper, whatever they could find. Usually toilet paper. If you've ever seen a roll of toilet paper that's got a wrapping around it, well, they use that to make tobacco cigarettes out of. It'll be $10 or $20 for one. To buy a pack of cigarettes in the penitentiary, $200-$300, $500 for a pack. At a camp, $40, $20. Sometimes I've seen them go for when it's flourishing, when there's a lot of bags put on the side of the road. And this is not new information that the camps and the police don't know about. They know there's no fence at a camp, which means things come in and out. Hello, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure that one out. Anyways, but this other lady smuggling in meth and pot, tobacco inside of Leavenworth, detention center, man. Looking at 40 years. Is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. Definitely not worth it. It must have been her. Some guy she knew, you know what I mean? Who knows how she knew him. But, yeah, I wouldn't do it. What's going on here? All right, let's see. Maybe I'll read some comments here. Let me look up some comments. See what I can do for you. Well, I appreciate the good comments here. Vince, left me one. Awesome video, Sean. Keep it up. Here we go. It says, so icy. This was 5 days ago. I have a question. If I'm on pretrial probation, will they let me off once I get sentenced, or do I stay on pretrial until self-surrender? All right, I can answer that one. They will not let you off pretrial probation once you get sentenced and you got 60 days or whatever to turn yourself in. But in my case, they backed off a lot. They didn't come around with a P-cup, and they now that I'm sentenced, their job is to make sure I show up to my prison. But they weren't hounding me. But before, they would come around, show up whenever they want, come to the door with a cup for me to pee in. You know what I mean? I had to check into their office once a month. Once I got sentenced, it was just phone calls. They would just have me. I had to call every Tuesday to the pretrial officer and check in, and that's all I had to do. So they back off a lot once you're sentenced, because, their job's pretty much over now. They just got to make sure you show up to prison on that surrender day, but you will not be off it. No, you will not be off it. And then the day you show up to prison, you are off. Once you go into prison, you are off pretrial. But you will be back on federal probation when you get out of prison. And pretrial to me was even harder than my probation. The pretrial officer I had, they were harder on me than my federal probation officers. So, and plus I had no idea how much time I was looking at. Now that I've done my prison time and I'm on federal probation, I know how much time I'm looking at in prison. None. I did it. It's over. It's behind me. Now I got a little more than a year to get off this federal probation. Let's see. We got some questions here. Leon. Hey, Leon, what's going on? So a bad PSR won't affect your plea, but the judge doesn't have all control of what he sentences you. A bad PSR definitely can hurt your plea. No, so when you had a 97 months to 108 months, what is that? 9 to 10 years, something like that. 108 years, 7, 8 years, I guess. But instead they gave you 48 to 57. You had a bad PSR, but they still cut the plea. When you take a plea deal, it'll cut it in half. I mean, I was originally looking at like 14 years, they told me when they first indicted me, right? And the public defender said, but you're not going to get that. But that's what you could get. But that's not what you're going to get. And then they brought it down to like 110 months. But you're not going to get that. We're going to take a plea deal, and it'll be a lot lower. And I finally got the plea deal. It was 51 to 70 months, something like that. Where's my chart? Something like that. Anyway, now I ended up getting 52 months. So that's kind of normal. If you don't take the plea deal, though, they're going to go by what the PSR recommends. So, you know what I mean? Take that deal, guys. Take that deal. You know what I mean? Take the deal. And you guys know what I mean when I say take the deal. Take the deal. Okay? Let's see here. Leon's got a question. I don't know if that helps, Leon. Let me try that again. So a bad PSR won't affect your plea deal, but doesn't the judge have all control of what he sentences you? Yeah, the judge the judge is the guy who's going to sentence you. I mean, you could have a plea deal for 5 years and the judge says, I don't care, I'm giving you 20. Or I don't care, I'm giving you probation. Yeah, the judge is the one sentencing you. But he takes all that other. Did they have guidelines they kind of have to go by? If your plea deal was for 5 years and the judge says, I don't care, I'm giving you 20 years, he needs to explain why he did that. He can't just say, because I'm the judge. No, they got to explain it. They got some explaining to do. And normally they don't go above the guidelines, unless they find some new evidence against you, something that was not revealed before. They're usually not going to go above the guidelines, but they have been lately going below the guidelines, which is good news for you guys. Matthew, hey Matthew, what's going on? Any chance for early release from probation? Not for me because I got a restitution to pay. Although I pay $100 a month for the rest of my life. Now I've heard in other states and districts, as long as you're making your monthly restitution payment, the judge will grant you early release. I'm hoping if I take this job in New Mexico next year, working for this nonprofit, which also kind of works with correction departments and probation and stuff, that I'm going to try to go to court and get early release. Having less than a year left on probation, we'll see. But I've been told by my probation officer now that because I haven't paid off my restitution, which it's so much money, I'll never be able to pay it off. You can't get early release. Now, the probation officer I had last year told me, yes, you can get it off as long as you make your monthly payments. So, the problem is your probation officer you got to go to court, and your probation officer goes with you. So the one I got now is telling me, no, he's against it. So if I go to court, he's going to tell the judge no. If I had the same one that I had last year, he'd have told the judge, yeah. So if I take this job in New Mexico, I'll have a new probation officer, and we'll see how they feel. But normally, if you don't have a restitution, when you get your halfway mark on probation, whether it's 5 years, 2 years, whatever, when you get halfway through with your probation, you go to court and ask the judge for early release off probation. And normally they will do it as long as you have been good. But it's the restitution that makes it hard for the rest of us. Dawood says, yeah, my lawyer told me they cannot go more than the plea deal agreement. Yeah, I mean, they can do what they want to do. They're the feds, but yes, normally they stay within the guidelines. You could piss off the judge at sentencing day. If you go up there try to plea your case to the judge, you've already said you're guilty. And if your last words to the judge are that you're not guilty and you want to tell him why and this is all wrong and I shouldn't be here and, I go into prison for something I didn't do and I'm innocent, blah, blah, blah. Judge, you're going to piss off that judge. And then he might add a couple more years just because, you have not learned your lesson. You have not accepted that you're guilty. This is your sentencing day. It's not the day to argue your case. If you wanted to argue your case, you should have took it to trial. And you know what happens when you take a federal case to trial with the federal government? How many people win? 2% win. Those 2% that win, another year or two later, they're back with more charges. Because you know how they come at you with 20 charges, keep the conspiracy one, but they'll drop all these other ones. Well, if you win that case, they'll be back. They'll be back in a year or two because they're going to build a new case against you. And they're not going to stop until you get locked up. I've heard it so many times, guys in prison, the ones that have won a case. I've probably talked to a half a dozen people that won their trial, but they were in prison. If you won you took it to trial and you won, why are you sitting here next to me with our prison greens on? Well, I won that one, but I didn't win the one 5 years ago because they came at me later. They came at me 5 years again later. This time they took my house and you know what I mean? It took my car and my property and stripped me of everything and won the case. I should have just took a deal on the first one and I'd have been done and I got to keep my house, but no, I had to piss them off and win the case. So it's the feds, guys. So, All right, let's check another comment here. I do appreciate all these good comments, but I'm looking for questions. Extreme weather. Oh, yeah, extreme weather. If you're on here, you see this. I know we were going to do a video together, and then I don't know if you backed out. Somebody was. Well, we'll get around to it. It says, I got sentenced to 63 months this past Monday on PPP with a restitution at $277,000. Do you want to do an interview? Oh, yeah. I report to BOP November 4th. Yeah, he got 63 months. I forget where he's going, but he's got a restitution of $277,000. That PPP thing's going around. Talked to a guy named Brian who was maybe going to do an interview with me. He paid his all back. And I think it was like $80,000. He filled out false documents to get that PPP money. Forget what PPP stands for. I know you guys know, you hear it all the time. But anyways, they gave him a year probation, but he paid all the money back. You know what I mean? So that can make a difference. Now, paying money back to the feds, if you can't pay it all back, don't pay it. That's not going to make a difference. But if you can pay it all back, yeah, it can make a difference in your case. But if you owe $100,000 and you can only come up with 10, keep the 10, man. Go bury it in the mountains or something. Use it for your family. It's not going to change your sentencing outcome unless you can pay all the money back. That's just my experience, guys. So, you know what I mean? It's a good gesture to, pay something back that you stole. I get it. And you should, in life, you shouldn't steal in the first place. But if you get caught stealing, pay it back. If you don't get caught stealing, you pay it back. You shouldn't steal in the first place. But in the feds, when they got you, a lot of times people don't even owe the money that their restitution's for. In my case, I was doing false tax filing false taxes for other people. So I get you the refund. I did it for a lot of my drug addict friends, right? Never had a job, bunch of losers, kind of like I was at the time. Hadn't worked in 10 years. So I found a way to file their tax returns and get them 2 or 3 grand, right? And then you can go back 3 years for a refund. So I put them down that they did landscaping jobs, house cleaning jobs, babysitter, worked on cars for cash. And they only made 10 grand in cash that year, and it gave them all these earned income credits and stuff back. So here's the thing. They all got a refund check. I took a little cut, took a 20% cut of the refund check. But here's the thing. The government is making me pay the whole thing back. So everybody I did taxes for, they get to keep their refund, spend it, live their life however they want to live their life. I have to pay back all the money, and they get to keep it. So I think the government should go after them. They actually signed for that money too. They knew what was going on. They had no problem taking that refund money when I gave it to them. So they should have to pay the IRS back. But that's not the way the law works. I have to pay it all. They get to keep the refunds, and I got to pay it all back. Is it fair? Maybe not. But what I did was illegal, against the law, and I cheated the government. It's not my money to cheat the government. I thought I found a loophole and all this, and I thought I wasn't. I was guilty as charged. I deserved to go to prison. Whether or not I deserve to have to pay their refunds back, I caused that much money in damages to the Internal Revenue Service. So that's damages I caused the Treasury Department. So that's why I have to pay it all back. I guess if some of these people that kept their refunds want to come forward and turn that money back to the IRS, they would take it off my restitution account, but that's not going to happen. Let's see what's going on here. We got Matthew says, so your restitution is paid to the IRS. Well, eventually it gets to them. I go on a website called pay.gov, and it's everybody on federal probation, I guess, uses it. And they it's like a criminal debt website. So I make my payment there, and then it gets distributed to whatever parties it's supposed to go to. If I had victims, it would go to victims. If I, stole from the water department, it would go to the water department. In my case, it goes to the IRS. Leon says, Sean, how did they link it to you? Because when I did refunds for these people, a lot of them owed child support, or a lot of them had student loans. And if when you file if you're expecting a refund from the government and you owe child support or you have student loans, they keep your refund. So I got guys waiting for their $2,000-$3,000 check or whatever, and it doesn't come. And I tell them it doesn't come. And here's a number. I found out you owe child support and you had, you have student loans, and they're all, no, you took my money, Sean. I go, no, I didn't. Here's the number. I'm not calling up no number. You took my money. Where's my refund? And these are drug addict guys, right? I'm all, no. Matter of fact, you owe child support and you lied to me and I did your refund. Now you owe me for the work I did filing your taxes. That pissed them off more. So they went and called the IRS on me. Yeah, I guess you could call that snitching. And this is all kinds of drug addicts thinking I took their money, and I had proof I didn't. I go, no, here's the number. Call the IRS. You owe me for the work I did for you. And went back and forth. And so they called the IRS, and red flags went up, and they investigated me, kind of like that. And then I'm not supposed to put their refund in my bank, but that's how I would pay you. I'm not going to trust you, Mr. Shooting up, you shoot up an 8-ball of meth every day if you can. And I'm going to trust that when the IRS check comes to you, you're going to call me and say, oh, my IRS check came. Let me give you the cut let me give you that 20% out of this check, Sean. No, they're long gone. So I had their refund go in my bank account, and then I gave them their 80%. And you're not supposed to do it that way. So I went to prison for that. So that's what happened with that. So, yeah, they all told on me, man. Yeah, pretty much. I didn't look at it like that, but yeah, that's what they did. Leon says, Sean, how did they? Oh, link it to you. I just answered that. Extreme Weather says, hello, everyone. I got 63 months on 277 restitution. Surrender November 4th. Don't have my location yet. How much will I do if I get RDAP? And if I do that interview this week sometime? Yeah. Hey, Extreme Weather Videos. PP. Yeah, I was just reading your comment. Maybe that's why you put it there. I don't know when you came on the channel here. Yeah, have you changed your mind about the interview? God, I could do it. Man, I'm free Tuesday. I'm busy tomorrow, guys. I'm going to the space shuttle tomorrow, believe it or not. NASA Ames Center, Research Center here in Moffett Field. So my cousin, he's a captain in the Air Force, and he's also a chaplain. And I'm going to his church service here tomorrow morning at NASA Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California. And they have the space shuttle there. And they have a whole bunch of NASA stuff. So he told me he's going to give me a private tour and show me the space shuttle. I'm going to take my cameras with me. At least my phone or something. But yeah, I get to go on the space shuttle tomorrow. So it doesn't fly anymore. I guess it just sits there. But anyway, he's going to give me a whole tour of NASA. So, yeah. And then I got to work Monday. But Tuesday I don't work. And then the rest of the week I work. So I get Tuesday I could do a video if you're free Tuesday. Let's see. I still want to do it Tuesday. Oh, he says Tuesday is fine. Good. All right. I know I got your number on my phone somewhere. I think you might have to call me because I had so many messages from you guys that my phone was getting slow and freezing. I had been saving all the text messages. And there was a lot of pictures and stuff. Man, there was like 200, not just you. I know. For the last year, I had every message on my phone saved, and my phone was freezing it. So I deleted all the messages and all the names. So anybody that's called me in the last year, your number's still on my contacts. I just don't have any record of when you called anymore. I cleared my phone. So Extreme Weather, I can't remember. Is it Bob? I think it was Bob. Anyways, if you could text me even now or something, and then we'll talk on Tuesday. But I had to clear my phone. So, some of those messages I just didn't want to let go. I've been hoarding messages for a year. Have you guys done that on your? When's the last time you guys have cleaned your phone? Some people get a message and they delete it right away and then never have anything in their phone. If you're living that criminal life, that's what we do. But since I have not lived a criminal life in quite a few years now, I've been keeping everything on my phone. It's still there. If the feds want to go through your phone, they'll find it anyways. Really, they will. 870 number. All right, I'll look for that. Extreme said, I have noticed that all of the camps are only at 20-40% capacity. Yes, Bob. Yeah, I've kind of seen that too, or half full. And it's been that way for a while. And they've been sending people, giving people more halfway house time than usual. And when I say more, I mean you might get 4 months instead of 2 months, 6 months instead of 2 months. The halfway houses must be full, I'm guessing. The guys that I've talked to in halfway houses say they're full. I know the one in Albuquerque's full. I know the one in San Francisco's full. I know the one in Oakland's full, and the one in Massachusetts where Jonathan's at, that's full. I mean, full. I mean, like 200 people, 200 beds, and 196 people in there. Text here. Oh yeah, got you, Bob. Yep. Thanks. I got you on the. Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Leon says, can you go to a low if you have an assault charge? Yes. I think you can go to a camp if the assault charge is more than 15 years ago, depending on what kind of assault charge. Well, I remember we had a guy at a camp that had an assault charge on his wife. So we found out that he was a wife beater, and that didn't go. I know people in prison, they don't like child molesters. I know there's certain types of criminals we don't like, and I agree. I don't like them either. But the wife beater thing, and I don't like them either. I don't like people who beat kids because my father was a anyways, I went through hell as a kid. So I wish somebody could have rescued me from my father. But anyways, we found out this guy had beat his wife and had several assault charges on him. And he was a wife beater, and he was in the camp. And he had a few outbreaks and temper tantrums that we had noticed. He went off on other people. And we found they found it. They don't normally check people's paperwork in the camp, but the Paisas, the Mexicans, decided, and the guy was white, but they decided to check his paperwork because he had went off on one of the Mexicans, a verbal fight. So they checked his paperwork and they found out he had assault charges on his wife, and he got the shit beat out of him, big time, big time, so bad that he had to check in. They told him after they beat him to a pulp, they told him to go check in at the window because you're not coming back here to the camp. And that doesn't happen much often at a camp, but it did. And he checked in. And I don't like to see anybody get beat, but I'm glad he got beat because I don't like I don't like men who beat up women, who beat up kids, who molest kids, who rape women. You're not a man in my book, and you don't deserve any sympathy whatsoever. No man should put his hands on a woman, period, man. That's just my opinion. There's no excuse. So that's the way I feel about it. So you don't get a second chance. That's it. You just don't do it unless it's self-defense. There are some mean, scary women out there who you might have to fight back in self-defense. I get that. There are. And there's some kids. I had an 8-year-old kid pull a gun on me once. I was buying crack. I was in the black neighborhood, pulling up in my car, trying to buy a crack off and an 8-year-old kid came up and he wanted to rob me. And he put the gun, I had the window rolled down. An 8-year-old kid put the gun toward me. And I just told him, is that a toy? Get that shit out of here. Put it away. Right. And then his friends came up, and next thing you know, the kid fired it, but he missed. He didn't fire. He fired at something else. And I took off. I got out of there, and I can't believe that he didn't even scare me till after. I mean, this 8-year-old kid's in his mind. I was just, he had no value of life. He would have just shot me like I was a toy dummy. So there's dangerous children, and there's dangerous women, so self-defense, yeah, in that respect, sure, defend yourself. Let's see. So my aunt, look, all that said, I've seen people with assault charges at a camp. They were old charges though. Matthew says, how can prisoners demand legal paperwork? They do it all the time in the prisons. You're showing us your paperwork by Friday, or you got to go PC up. That means, PC. You need to go turn yourself in to the officers and put in protective custody because we're going to kill you. So they tell you guys PC up. So they go cry to the prison guards, help me, they're going to beat me up, and then they'll put you in the shoe unless you show them your paperwork. And it's done all the time. Now, in the camps in the low securities, supposedly it's you're not allowed to have your paperwork with you, and you can get a shot for that. And the shot's like a write-up. You can lose good time. They can punish you for having your paperwork. But in the mediums and the penitentiaries, you're allowed to have your paperwork, or at least it's not. I don't know if alloud's the word, but it's. They let it go because they know that you have to show your paperwork to your peoples. Like if you're white, you got to show it to the white guys. If you're Mexican, you got to show it to the shot call. Somebody's going to approach you in a medium or in a penitentiary and say, you got your paperwork? Well, you need to get your paperwork because we need to look at it. And they're going to check you out to see if you ratted on somebody or if you're a child molester, that kind of thing. And it's done all the time in those prisons and the higher ups, and you get it mailed into you from somebody. So if I had to get my paperwork, I guess I could go call my lawyer and he could mail it to me. The old lawyer I had. So let's see. Matthew says, okay, we're just answering that. We'll stream weather videos. If you have time, how about how much time will I do on 63-month sentence? If I get RDAP, 15% good time, and some halfway house time, and some home confinement, I may want to stay in the camp, then be on home confinement. Okay, so let's do your math. 63 months, okay? The first thing you're going to take off is your good time because you get that no matter what. So it's 54 days for every year. So we're going to say 2 months a year. So you got a 5-year and 3-month sentence. So for 5 years, you're going to get 10 months. We're going to take 10 months off. So now you're down to 4 years and 2 months. If you get the RDAP, you'll get a whole year off your sentence. So you had 4 years and 2 months, which is 50 months. So we're going to take a year off 50 months, and that brings you down to 38 months left. Now they're going to give you at least 6 months halfway house time. Something's wrong here. I better let me write this down. Let me get a piece of paper. I'm doing it in my head. It's not coming out right. 63 minus 10 is 53. Minus 12 is 41. Minus 6, 35. So I got you at 35 months. I know normally on a 5-year sentence, you do about 2.5 years. What am I missing here? 35 months. I got you at 35 months. Well, let me answer your question. I got you at 35 months. I got 10 months off good time, 12 months off RDAP. They also give you 6 months halfway house time when you take RDAP, so that's 18 months. So I got 63 minus 10 is 53, minus 12 is 41, minus 6 is 35. That's 3 years, a little less than 3 years. Now, they might give you more halfway house time, but you're going to do a little less than 3 years. The problem is the home confinement thing. You have to do at least 4 months of what's called TDAP. That's the Transitional Aftercare Program for RDAP. Because the RDAP program, you're going to do 9 months of RDAP at the camp. Then they have an aftercare program that's done once you leave the prison. Now, I have heard of people being able to do that aftercare time at the camp. Rarely does it happen, but it can. So technically, maybe you could ask your counselor, can I do the aftercare here? And those guys will meet once a week with their counselor there. So that when they, I guess if you don't want to do any home confinement time or any, halfway house time, I've heard of a few facilities that let you do the aftercare at the prison, but normally it's not the case. You got to go to an outside counselor. You don't have to be in the halfway house to do it. You can do it from home confinement. So let me see. Your last part of your question says, I may want to stay in the camp, then be on home confinement. Normally, though, you got to do at least 4 months of this aftercare on the outside. And you can't do it on probation. You got to do it before your sentence ends to qualify for the whole year off. So you're probably going to have to do at least 4 months halfway house time. So the home confinement, the way that works is you can do the last 10% of your sentence on home confinement. So you got a 5-year sentence, you can do 5 months home confinement. So, and if they gave you 6 months halfway house time, you'd have to spend the first month at the halfway house and then the last 5 at home confinement. So when you get to the halfway house, too, they're the ones who decide whether you're going to get home confinement or not, because they have their own probation officers that go out to check on the houses where people are on home confinement at. This is the guy that's going to call you up at 3 a.m. He's going to show up an hour later with the P cup, even though he just talked to you. He's going to put the ankle bracelet on you. He's going to go, if you got a job, he's going to show up at your job. He's going to talk to your manager, make sure that they know that you're a felon just out of prison. You know what I mean? This guy's going to check up on you. He's going to show up at your house and go through every cupboard and look for alcohol, no matter who lives there, right? And like, let's say you move in with your wife or your mother or something, and they have a bottle of wine. He's not going to allow you to live at that house while you're on home confinement because there's alcohol in the house. Because you just came out of RDAP, is a residential drug and alcohol program. So you can't live in a house that has alcohol. Even if it's not yours, you can't live at that house. You're going to have to do all your time at the halfway house. And they're really strict with this home confinement. You don't answer that phone, the marshals are there within an hour to take you back to prison. So when they call, you better answer. And you got to have a landline. You can't just have a cell phone. Some guys I knew did not have landlines hooked up to the places that they wanted to go home to and couldn't get one, or it cost too much money, or they're out in the middle of nowhere, or they rent an apartment where there is no landlines. The phone company would have to drill holes through all the walls to put one in, and the owner of the building is not having that. So they couldn't do home confinement, or at least at that address. You know what I mean? I hope any of that makes sense. Thank you. Okay, we'll do whatever I can. Damn, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Find another comment. Lost my page. Well, any more questions, guys? I can't find it on my phone right now. Too many buttons. I don't want to make a video about me just pushing buttons on my phone. Let's see if I missed anything on here. I do appreciate all you guys watching this channel. Yeah, well, it's been close to an hour. I think I will call it a day unless there's some more questions. Let me tell you guys about all the free links I got under every video. There's templates and, lessons on how to write character letters to the judge. There's sentencing guideline charts down there. There's how to get into RDAP the right way, the legal way. There's how to send money and letters to an inmate and what you can get sent to you in prison. There's all kinds of different free links. I got nonprofit organizations down there. Wholehearted.org is down there. They help inmates. Wings for Life, the nonprofit that I'm going to go work for next year, they're down there. You're going to prison, hook your family up with Wings for Life. So while you're in prison, they got your back with your family. They don't have to go through that alone. And they'll help you when you get out too. So I got lots of links. They're all free. They're all down below. Almost every video I got, it's underneath the description. You got to check where it says read more and things open up. You know what I mean? And so all my links are down there. Nonprofits, you want to donate to my channel, I got a Cash App now. And I got a Venmo. And let's see. Matthew says something here. Is the COVID vaccine mandatory for inmates since it is mandatory for the military? I don't know if it's mandatory, but if you refuse to get the vaccine shot while you are in prison, you will spend the rest of your time in a segregated housing unit known as the SHU. So if you want to be like that, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you should get the shot, you shouldn't get the shot. Here's how I looked at it, guys. I used to be, I have like 5 years clean off drugs now and stuff. But back in my day, I would do crystal meth. It's made with battery acid and Drano. And I would put that stuff, in my body. So I'm not afraid of a vaccine shot, okay? I mean, I did Drano and battery acid. So I'm not going to be afraid of what's in that vaccine shot. That's why I took it, because I've done so much other junk. What's one more thing going to hurt me? But I understand why people don't want to get the shot. Problem is, you're property of the Bureau of Prisons now. They own you. They could almost hold you down, force you to take the shot. And I wouldn't be surprised if that day's coming. I would not be surprised if they actually do that one day, the way they're playing this virus out. You know what I mean? But I don't like to wear a mask, and I try never to wear the mask unless I go to a grocery store, because I don't own the grocery store. So if you want me to wear a mask while I'm in your house, I'll respect you for that. But as soon as I come out of your house, the mask comes off, and I don't like to wear a mask. So, yeah, I hate wearing it. So I wear the mask as little as possible. You know what I mean? If you don't want to get a shot, I respect you. You know what I mean? I just got it because I wasn't afraid of it. Like I said, I've done so many drugs. You know, I should have been dead now. Give me the shot. And then what's one more drug in my body going to do? So I took the shot. You know what I mean? But anyways, if you don't want to take it in prison, you're going to spend. It's going to be miserable. You're not going to be able to go outside. They're going to keep you locked up in a special quarantine unit your whole time there. It's going to be miserable. So think about that. You know what I mean? I would take the shot. I know. You know what I mean? I don't. Anyways, you got to decide for yourself. All right, guys. I want to say goodbye. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you. Hopefully, you guys show up for the support group tomorrow night, Pretrial Anonymous. All the information's up there. I'm going to put it up one more time again. And hope to see you guys tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Zoom. All right. Have a good night.